Hey, welcome to this video. I'm your SEO Data Gensly himself, and it's time to talk about a game that I have some slight beef with. Thankfully, not Sonic the Hedgehog 4 type beef, just a little bit of beef, you get it. But let's just get this over with already. So Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins just happens to be a sequel to Super Mario Land. Wow! So when did this game release, you might ask? Well, it released in Japan on October of 1992, here in North America we got it in November of 1992, and in Europe it was released in January of 1993. So, right away after the title screen, we actually get something pretty cool. A Mario game on the Game Boy that has save files. That's really all this game is gonna have? You know what, let's give this game a chance. I hated this game for so long, it is time to actually replay it. So, there's a world map in this game. It's almost like this is basically Super Mario World, but a handheld console counterpart, which I guess is pretty cool. And hopping into a level, man, I hate the Game Boy games that are just trying to recreate console gaming but just put it on a portable. It never turns out that well for me. The screen is always absurdly zoomed in, and the sprites are so damn big, and sure, they look kinda cool, but they really shouldn't have just shoved a Super Nintendo or NES type game into a Game Boy in the first place. It never turns out good. But gameplay wise, Mario controls well enough. I feel like that in some cases that his momentum doesn't carry in a jump, which kind of sucks for the absurd amount of platforming in certain levels. They added the spin jump from Super Mario World, which is pretty cool, but you have to press down on the D-pad in the air because there isn't enough buttons on the Game Boy to do a spin jump. But other than that, you got your typical power-ups of Mushroom, Fire Flower, and Star, but we got a brand new power-up exclusive to this game. The rabbit ears, or whatever. It's not really a suit. I guess I'll just call it rabbit ears. It makes Mario glide in the air slowly. It's actually pretty cool, and I feel like this would be a better choice for Super Mario 3D Land, as the Tanuki suit in Super Mario 3D Land doesn't fly like how it does in Super Mario Bros. 3. Well, now that we're done the first level here, it seems like that Mario has to save his own castle, not Peach's castle, because it technically didn't exist yet. So, Mario's castle it is, from Wario. And then after that, you have to collect 6 golden coins by beating each zone of the entire world. Starting off with the tree zone. Basically some of the easiest levels in the game. You start out at the bottom of the tree, and then you try to go to the top, go through some jello at some point, and then you fight some bird. Next, I didn't realize that this was actually an entrance to a zone, but you started in this weird hippo bubble level. I don't know, hippos just spawn bubbles out of their nose. It's kind of weird. And then you end up in the space zone, which I don't know how that works, but sure, hippo bubbles can send you to space. And then the boss for this zone is actually the final boss for Mario Land 1, which is actually pretty cool. The boss, of course, acts differently than it did then, but it's still pretty cool that Tanga is still referenced here. Next, after finding out that the hippo nose level sent you to a zone, I thought that this auto-scroll level would send me to another zone. Turns out it didn't. It's just some random level that's casually on the map. You gain nothing out of it either. You don't even get a bonus game to get a different power-up. But next we got the macro zone. Basically, you just have to break into this big house. You start out in the yard. Apparently the yard has weird spikes at the bottom of it, which must hurt the feet of the giant that owns this house. And then of course you break into the house and then you fight some giant mouse. Next we got pumpkin zone. For some reason there's Jason Goombas everywhere, but other than that there's ghost Goombas that take revenge on you for stomping on them because you cannot stomp on these guys, and then you fight a witch. But also I found out in this zone that there's actually secret exits in certain levels, which is actually pretty cool. This is almost like a Super Mario World on the go. And man, I'm starting to enjoy this game. Next we got Mario's Crotch Zone. Of course, this is the zone where you're able to access Mario's crotch, and also the level that takes place in Mario's crotch is just themed around balls. Rated E for everyone. But yeah, also in this zone, there's a reference to Nintendo's knockoff Legos that they used to make a long time ago, and also you fight the 3 little pigs for some reason. And the final zone here is the turtle zone. You get eaten by a turtle, and the first level starts out in the overworld, which is kind of weird. How can a turtle eat an entire sky? There's clouds and everything. That doesn't make any sense at all. Then you go into the submarine, which makes a lot more sense. Maybe the turtle just casually ate a submarine one day, and then you you go into a level that is what I think a whale, because there's a whale in the map, and there's a bunch of sharp claw things that kind of look like it would be teeth, so maybe it's the whale, maybe it's a shark. It makes more sense if it was a shark, but maybe it is a whale. But anyways, you end off the zone by beating up this octopus, which was so damn easy to do. But now that we got all 6 of the golden coins by beating 6 of the easiest bosses in gaming history, it's time to go kick Wario's butt. And this level is actually pretty fun. It's pretty tough, and it's quite a shock because the game thus far was actually extremely easy. So this is a nice change of pace. And the Wario boss fight is just themed around different Mario power-ups that appeared in this game, being only 2 power-ups, the fire flower and the rabbit ear thing. But other than that, that's Mario Land 2. And honestly, now that I replayed it, it's actually pretty good. This is literally a Super Mario World on the go. And it's just different enough for it to be perfect for a handheld play, minus the screen crunch. But other than that, I was wrong about this game. And with that, that was Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. I used to absolutely despise this Mario game in the past, but now that I replayed it, it's actually really good, other than the fact that it's an original Game Boy game and it's really zoomed in. But you know what? A small price to pay for Peak. And would you look at that? That is some character development right there. Now I just need to get back into those shitty skits I used to make all the time for these videos.